Hello and welcome to Things Your Sister Says. My name is Cody, and in today's video I'm going to be looking down a lot because I made an entire list about basically my journey of losing 40 pounds during quarantine, and I'm really excited about it, and I want to talk about what I've done and what I would redo and what I've done that I've tweaked over time to help me lose the 40 pounds over the last course of almost a year now. Quarantine started obviously back like February, March of last year, and I decided that I've tried for years. I'm 30. My entirety of my 20s have been spent dealing with PCOS and dealing with symptoms and dealing with the fact that like I'm over 200 pounds and that's not healthy for my height and my weight, and I was not healthy. I wasn't eating healthy. I really just genuinely did not understand how to eat healthy in any way. I'm a sugar addict. I love sugar more than a lot of things, and I've used a lot of things to try to get over that. Monk fruit is my biggest thing that I use to help ease my sugar addiction, and monk fruit is seriously one of the best things out there. I love it. There's no glycemic index. Most of the time I'm gonna have people who are in the comments going, no, it'll spike your insulin levels, but I find that it doesn't, and most of the studies that I find say that it doesn't, but there's always those outliers who think that it is the worst thing ever. But I love monk fruit, and this is gonna be a bit rambly. Again, list, keep me focused. I've tried a lot of stuff. I was vegan for a really long time. I was high protein. I always ended up binging and crashing and going right into sugar, and it's awful. So basically my dad ended up right around the same time that my doctor told me that if I ever had a hope of getting pregnant that I needed to start losing weight and be treating my body better. Basically my dad at the same time was like, hey, guess what? I've lost 80 pounds doing all of this stuff. So I was like, oh, maybe I should listen to what my father says, because if it works for him, I imagine that it might work for me. So he does something called OMAD, otherwise known as 1 meal a day. And he also does, it's just generally a more extreme version of intermittent fasting. I had heard about intermittent fasting before, but I didn't really understand it, and I wanted to learn more about it. So basically intermittent fasting is when you restrict your eating window to a small portion of the day. You're not eating, you're not snacking all the time. I remember during dieting times, they would tell you that you need to constantly snack or else your metabolism's gonna crash. Bull crap, basically. It's absolutely ridiculous. But during intermittent fasting, you don't eat. That sounds pretty simple, right? I will, during my intermittent fasting window, I started out to get myself off of sugar to switch over to monk fruit, which helped me a lot. And I would do monk fruit sweetened iced tea. That helped me a lot. And when I first started this, I would drink the little Frannies. I think I've talked about this in other videos. That has sucralose in it. Again, that is not something that I do now because I know better. But it helped ease me into intermittent fasting. So do what you gotta do to ease yourself into these things. You don't have to go cold turkey. You can ease yourself and say, okay, well, I think I'm ready to stop with the Frannies and the sucralose sweetened drinks during my fasting window. And I dropped like 10 pounds after I stopped drinking the Frannies during my my non-feeding window, basically, my fasting window. There we go. I had to take a breath for a second. So basically, I ended up being told that I needed to lose weight because I was essentially pre-diabetic, and I'm an insulin-resistant type of PCOS. There are tons of different types of PCOS out there. PCOS standing for polycystic ovarian syndrome, or sometimes known as PCOD, or polycystic ovarian disease. I hit all 3 marks on the Rotterdam criteria, which basically was that I had cysts on my ovaries, I had elevated insulin all the time. That's not part of the Rotterdam, but I hit all 3. I'm going to post the Rotterdam right here. And basically I had amenorrhea, which amenorrhea is a lack of a period. I just was not getting a cycle ever, and that was dangerous. My doctor was the most concerned about that because she said basically, hey, this is just a cancer ticking time bomb waiting to happen. You're going to get cancer if you don't get a cycle, because your stuff is going to build up in there, and those are going to cause abnormal cells, and that's going to be awful. So that was the thing that I was most worried about. Yeah, I'm trying to conceive. I've been trying to conceive with my partner for over half a decade now. It's been 5+ years that we've genuinely been trying and actively trying, and we just can't. I want to have a baby, but my biggest concern was I want to live with my partner, and I want to be happy with my partner and not get cancer, basically. It's a thing that runs in our family. We have diabetes that runs in our family and heart disease, so we're not the healthiest bunch, quite frankly. So I was like, you know what? my dad was doing this just to reduce inflammation. I know that PCOS is an inflammatory disorder, so let's try it. Let's try intermittent fasting. And at first I was miserable. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, but I was just getting used to a new way of eating. But now I would never go back. I'm never going to go back to my old way of eating. Honestly, I like intermittent fasting. I don't have to think about food all the time. That's the biggest thing with me, is that I was constantly thinking about food all the time. What am I going to make? What am I going to eat? What am I going to do? What is this? Is this healthy? Is this not healthy? Oh, but I really want a snack. I want a treat. I want to do something like this. And it's just constantly revolving my world around food. I'm much more productive now that I don't have to think about it all the time, quite frankly. So he lost 80 pounds. I'll show his before and after. It's amazing what he's done. He's a lot more hard-edged than I am when it comes to OMAD. I definitely don't do OMAD, which is the 1 meal a day. I do closer to 24, or at the very minimum, I will do 16-8. Those are the hours that you are fasting versus your eating window. I don't like calling it my feeding window because it makes me sound like I'm a cow. So doing this, I have lost a total of 40 pounds. I was at 236-ish. I didn't like weighing myself back then, and I didn't have a genuine like, this is exactly what I am. I was 236-ish around last March, and now in going from February into March, I'm 195, which for me, not exercising, not doing anything other than just the intermittent fasting window and trying to focus on eating less sugar, that's pretty remarkable for me. I'm pretty happy with the fact that I did that, you know, like it doesn't seem like a big deal when you look at it from month to month to month, you know, but when you look at the big picture, it helps immensely. And so now I have gotten my weight for the most part under control. I'm not constantly bloated, which is what I noticed a lot with PCOS. I've talked about this before, but I felt a lot of that whole faux pregnancy belly thing that was going on, which is the most heartbreaking thing to deal with when you are a woman who's trying to conceive and you feel like you look pregnant, because I did. I've got my before and after picture there, and that before picture was when I was 15 pounds down from 236. That's how bloated I was. I was so bloated and inflamed, and now I can suck in my stomach and have it not look like I'm pregnant. It goes inward now, which is very exciting. Before it did not. And that's all I'm gonna say about that, basically. And I actually, so it's taken a year, but given the fact that I've lost 40 pounds, my cycle started up again. So back in March, I had a forced cycle from a doctor. I don't remember what pill I took exactly, but you know what I'm talking about if you've been to a doctor and you've gone through this. They'll give you a progesterone heavy pill that forces you to have a cycle. It tricks your body into thinking that your progesterone dipped or whatever to get you into a cycle. So I had a forced cycle, and then I went 7 months without a cycle, and basically I won't get one. I just won't naturally get one. It's so frustrating. But the last 2.5 months, since I started breaking my fast properly, and since I started taking magnesium, I've had 2 cycles in the last 2.5 to 3 months. I am so excited about this. It just shows that what I'm doing is working, and that it's working for me. And yeah, it takes time. You're not going to have it happen overnight. It's not going to be this miracle cure that just fixes things overnight. It takes time, especially if you're going to go slow like I have with things. And to say that I've gone slow and I've still lost 40 pounds, that seems like an amazing thing to me. So in the future, what I'm going to be doing is I have already been focusing on breaking my fasts the right way. A big thing with me is not to pair fats with carbs. Having high carbs and high fats together just makes your insulin go through the roof. At least that's what I've studied. Again, I'm not a doctor, but this is what works for me. Having those two together makes your insulin skyrocket. And my big thing is minimizing how much of a spike in insulin that I have. I want to make myself insulin sensitive, not insulin resistant. I was insulin resistant, but I can now say that I'm not dizzy anymore. I don't feel like I'm going to faint if I don't eat carbs. That seriously is so scary to feel like you have that little control over your own body. I get that. It's terrifying. So now I don't have those feelings at all anymore. I'm not lightheaded. I'm not dizzy. I don't feel like I have to eat or else I'm going to pass out. And that took time to get there, honestly, to make it so that I was insulin sensitive. I was taking inositol for a really long time. I don't take it anymore. I just don't. I take a multivitamin. I take a prenatal multivitamin essentially. And then I take magnesium and I take methylfolate, which is basically a more biologically available version of folate, basically folic acid. So those are just generally things that I've done. I don't break my fast unless I have a protein shake. In my little protein shakes that I make, I do unsweetened almond milk with some whey protein isolate. I don't do concentrate because I know that I'm not personally lactose intolerant, but I know a lot of people are. So that's why I say the isolate, because that's important. The concentrate tends to like concentrate all the negative things that are inside milk. So I use isolate. I just use what my partner has, and he's more of a bulky dude, so that's what we kind of just mix together. I also put turmeric, a teaspoon, there we go, of turmeric inside my protein shake, as well as a good shake of cinnamon and just like a small little bit of pepper. I know that pepper and turmeric go together and makes it so that the turmeric works better. These are all things that help with the inflammation in my body. I'm not inflamed anymore. And so, oh, and I also put a scoop of collagen in it, which I've noticed a huge difference in my fingernails since doing that. My skin's softer, and I notice a difference if I don't use collagen. So grass-fed, grass-finished. I've been focusing on trying to eat more whole foods, and whenever I do meals, I try to make it as healthy as I can. I know that in the future, to try to lose a little bit more weight, I would like to get down to about a $140 to a $150-ish. That's where I'm really happy with my weight when I am down to that weight. I am going to be focusing on a bit more of a lower carb way of eating, because I know that that can help with insulin sensitivity, and I'm trying to go a little bit lower in the general the glycemic index, the GI of the foods that I eat. Generally, I'm going to try to kind of focus on eating a little bit more healthy. This is 40 pounds of weight loss without having to focus too much on what I'm actually eating, aside from making sure that it is lower in actual sugars. There's no white sugar in our home anymore. We just do monk fruit. So I just kind of want to talk about the general things that I've done. I have had 2 cycles in the last 2.5 months, and I never had cycles before this. So I am beyond happy with how this is happening. As long as I am getting to the point where I am healthy and I have a healthy weight where I'm not feeling like I'm constantly out of breath and I could possibly get pregnant, honestly, I'm going to continue on with this, and I'm going to continue on doing the intermittent fasting. So just kind of want to talk about it, how I was down 40 pounds during quarantine, what I'm doing next, which is basically just, hey, focus on some lower carbs eating and trying to focus on basically getting myself ready for a baby. Which is so weird to say, but I'm 30 and I'm gonna need to get going on this soon. I just double checked the list. I think that's everything that I was going to talk about, so I am pretty happy with everything. It's been about a year and I'm down 40 pounds, and hopefully in another year I'll get closer to my goal weight. Maybe even, I don't know, dare say get pregnant. That would be nice and have a little one. I don't know. We'll see. All right, and I just wanted to give a little update on how much weight I've lost. I've had a couple people talk about it and ask about it down below, so that's pretty much it. All right, until next time, guys. Bye!